Okay, we're up to the 18th parak of Netzach Yisroel. So he begins, which I think a little bit of a summary from the previous parak. We've already explained in the last two prakim about the fourth kingdom. That Hashem gave them a large portion in this world, ad idan adonim, until the end of ends, until Mashiach comes. The chachmei emes, the Chasidim Hakadoshim kiblu ol malchus ze aleihem, kasher amdu al soid malchus reviyah zois. And the Chachmei Emes and the Chasidim accepted the yoke of this kingdom upon themselves. The bottom in number 4, the way he explains, because it's unclear what the Maharal means that Chachmei Emes accepted upon themselves this kingdom. What form did we accept this kingdom? So he says perhaps it means that the Gemara says that it's not a good thing to start to calculate when Mashiach will come. What it means is, I'll just explain what that Gemara means. You're supposed to obviously await his arrival every day, but to calculate that he has to come on this year, 1890, we don't do that. What does the Gemara say? Chakaloi, you wait for him. So what he means is that the Chachmei Emes sort of accepted upon themselves that no matter how long it is, this fourth kingdom, no matter how long it will be, we will wait. So he says, Kasher Amdul Sayin Malchus Reviyah Zois, we've already spoken about this enough. The Gemara says in Arvei Psachim, that in the largest kingdom of this Edom, of this Christian, Edom, Rome, whatever you want to call it, they have the largest city has a marketplace, has 365 marketplaces. Remember, a throwback to the previous program, 365 is because this kingdom has kayach from the sun, and 365 is connected the rotations of the sun. So he says, "Ubechol shoik v'shoik shesa bironos," and each marketplace of the 365, each one has 365 stalls. Again, it's the same number again. Ubechol biru bira yesh shesa milas, and each pavilion within that has 365 steps. Bechol mailu mailo yesh balazim k'salayim, and each step has enough food to feed the entire world. Amr le Rav Shimon bar Rebbe v'Amr le Rav Shimon ben Yosef the Rebbe Hanu Laman. Right, he explains that before. Pirish nishal sheila oitzes ela mihem yuadim. Who is this for? All this food, who is it for? Amrlei lech l'cha u'lechaverecha l'chaverecha. For you, your friends, and your friends' friends. Shneimar v'yeschara etnena kodesh laHashem liyatzev liyachsen. Those that are holy to God will not be without. Let me read you the Gemara. Let me go back to read the Gemara, and then we'll go inside. The Gemara says Rav Yishmael sent a letter to Rav Yossi. That the metropolis of Rome has 365 marketplaces. And each one has 365 towers. It's towers. And each tower contains 365 steps. And each step has enough food on it to sustain the entire world. Shimon said to Rebbe, the son of Rebbe said, who is all this food going to? So Rebbe said, for you, your friends, and your friends' friends. Shenemar, her merchandise and payment will one day become holy, meaning the merchandise of Goyim and the pay of Zaynas will one day be kodesh laHashem. Lo yotzer v'lochsin be, it should not be stored nor treasured. Ki lo yoshim l'fnei Hashem yiyeh, shall be for those who sit before Hashem. So the Gemara says, Ma'ili Yotzer, what is it meant that it should not be stored? What should not be stored? Tanur of Yosef, Lo Yotzer is a base Oitzer. This refers to the granary, the grain, wine, and oil. V'lo Yechasein, and treasured Zabes Geniza. That's referring to the gold and silver. And all of these things will eventually be distributed to Tamid Chacham Mashiach comes. Mai Kili Yoshim Lefnei Hashem. And what does it mean that it should be given for those who sit before Hashem? Amr Rav Elazar. This refers to someone who knows his colleague's place in the yeshiva, meaning he knows where everyone sits in the yeshiva. So the Rashbam explains, that's the one who's going to get all the reward, if you know where everyone sits. What was the pshat? Because if you know where everyone sits, that means you're there. You have to be in yeshiva enough. And then, to know where people sit, you got to go to shul enough to know where people sit. So says the Gemara, and some say this refers to someone who greets his friends in the yeshiva. Again, same thing. He's there all the time. He's always greeting everybody because he's always there. Otik. What does it mean that it'll be for those who covers the ancient? In the pasuk says, the pasuk says, it shall be for those who sit before Hashem to eat, and for elegant clothing. For elegant clothing. So what does it mean? Says the Gemara, this refers to one who conceals the things that the Ancient of Days concealed. Atik Yomin is a reference to Hashem. Meaning that if you conceal the things that Hashem concealed, Ma'iniyu, Sisrei Torah, the secrets of Torah. Okay, I mean this. So according to this, it means that if you conceal that Torah of Kabbalah, you keep it quiet. What does it mean, keep it quiet? So you only teach it to those that are worthy of teaching. You don't publicize it too much. You'll get reward. Or some say it means to reveal something that was hidden, which is the explanations of the Torah. Meaning you take aspects of the Torah, Gemara, whatever, which the average person doesn't know, and you teach it publicly. That's the reward is waiting for such a person. He says, "Kvar bi'arnu lo harbe." We already explained ki malchus revias zois koyach malchusa misva shesa, that the koyach of this malchus is connected to 365 l'tamashers bar, as we talked about last time, because they're connected to the sun, and that's the rotations of the sun. And this is a theme that you'll always find within the Gemaras that describe the koyach of the malchus. You'll find connections to 365 because again, it all has to do with the sun. Ki koyach malchus revius yesh koyach ashesh l'chama, because it stems from the sun. V'imshes hayomim, b'choyim tenu miachades, etc. And he says this is not a one-time thing. This happens many, many places. And at the bottom he quotes, it's a Gemara Brachis, Rosh Hashanah, Yuma, Sanhedrin, Makas, Erechin, that it mentions regarding Edom, the numbers 365. It comes up many, many times. Umispar Shalosh Meis, and the number 300, which also he said is the kayach of the sun itself, because the sun is number 3 and times 100. So he says, Umispar Shalosh Meis, Hashem Izeh Tavin Muhus HaMalchus Izeh. V'ata ba lahagid ala shefa Hashem mekablim Malchus Zos. And now the Gemara is referencing the shefa Hashem mekablim Malchus Zos. The shefa means the pipeline from Hashem that this Malchus accepts. Kashamar Kosev. Hine mishmani aretz yeh meshavecha. The pasuk says, this is a reference to Esav, mishmani haaretz yeh meshavecha, that the fat of the land will be your resting place. And he brings down the bottom. Rashi over there says that Italia shel Yavan. This is reference to Italy. So the Gemara, he says like this: Lakach amr shesa shvakim yesh bekar gadol shel malchus revius ubir inin zeh yesh b'malchus hazoy shemekabel shefa elyon. This malchus is mekabel, part of having that physical strength and that dominance in this world is that it's mekabel a lot of physical strength from Hashem. Ukeneged zeh yesh kan gimel mailos ub'chol echad ve'echad mispar shin samachay. And each one, the shefa that is mekabel comes in 3 prongs, 3 different forms, and each one is connected to 365. What are these 3 forms? Ki parnosa shehi me'olam elyon u'mispashel olam emtzoi. Parnosa starts from the upper world, right, from Hashem. Then it goes down, right? You have Atzilus, Bria, Yitzir, Asiyah. Yeah? Then it goes down to the middle world, u'mispashel yoyis eloim atachta, until it comes down all the way to trickle down to this world. Right, it starts in Shemayim. It comes, in the form of like the letters Beis, Reish, Chaf, Hey, Bracha. And by the time it comes down to us, it's rain. You understand that it goes through a transformation. He says, "Ubechol echad shemispasha yoiser ushin samachay." And these 3 worlds. It's interesting. He says these 3 worlds. Could be he considers Atzilus, Atzmias of Hashem himself, and therefore you just have Yitzira, Bria, and Asiyah. These 3 worlds. Right. We normally say there's 4 worlds, but it could be Atzilus. He considers the Atzmias of Hashem himself. So it's just 3 worlds. Each world corresponds to 365. So 365, that's the 3 forms. He'll explain. Now, because the Gemara had said, if you remember, the Gemara had said this, that Italy, the big city of Rome, has 365 marketplaces. Each marketplace has 365 towers, and each tower has 365 steps. So you have marketplace, towers, and steps. So he's going to describe these are the 3 worlds of Parnasa. Okay. He says, Kasher hu baschala hu shin samach hey milas. Shekach, right? So the highest form, that's the steps. That's the steps.
Well, why is that the highest?
Now he has explained. Yeah, I don't know.
Why did you say that?
Kashu Baschala, when it begins in Shemayim, that first world, whatever, Hushin Samachem Milas, that corresponds to 365 steps. Shekach Roy El Koyach Malchus Revius. Then we're connected Oilama Elyon. Hashem Sham HaParnasa Ba. That's the source of Parnasa. It's interesting that he's going a little bit out of order because the Gemara had marketplace, tower, steps. Oh, so no, so the Gemara was going from down up. So right, marketplace is the lowest, then tower, then steps. So you think steps is the highest. I mean, the Gemara is describing from down to up. He's describing from up to down. So the highest madrega is the steps. Kasha mispashal oilam emtsoi. Then it gets to the second world. Mispashal aparnasa zoysa shesa bironos. Then it goes from steps to towers. Koloimer. Ki adayin loiba. Well, it's actually interesting because it's going from conceptual to more practical, right? Steps are a physical thing, but it's not as structured as a tower, a building. Then you go from steps, which is more like this conceptual concept of traveling. Then you go to a tower, which is like already that's a structured situation, to a marketplace that has food. Like the marketplace, like it goes from like there's cash, which is like the theoretical parnasa, and then there's chicken. You understand? Like it's going from conceptual to practical. So the steps down to towers, which is already a structure, to actual marketplace of food. That first world, it's not just like ether and it's not just like clay, because we're dealing with worlds that actually exist, right? You're not dealing with Atzilus, right, which is Eitzel Hashem. You're dealing with Bria, which is still something. There's still creations there. Now they're not fully developed. Like I think Malachim come from Bria, if I'm not mistaken. The point is, it's something, but it's not fully developed yet, and that's like steps. So he says, right, that these towers, it's not fully down here yet. He says, number 6, Pirushai, Migdal, meaning Kavira means like a Migdal, Shulshan Arman, Makam Sagur, and even like a tower is closed off. It's not open also, by the way. It's not an open marketplace. It's a tower, it's closed off. It's not fully developed yet. So he says, Sheina benigla, it's not fully revealed. Kasher mispashal elam atachtain, and then it goes down to the bottom world, to our world, mispashal shesa shvakim. So it's describing the shefa, from Hashem down to the Romans, using 365 as the model because that's where the koyach comes from. But the 3 steps is going from olam ha'elyon to practical cash, and is going from steps. Even steps make sense because steps, by the way, to answer your question, why not just like clay or whatever? Because steps is how you trickle down. I'm saying steps is a good metaphor for traveling down from above to below. You use steps, rungs, like Yaakov sees a ladder. Usually when you're going from worlds to world, they like to describe it in that way. So you go from steps down to a tower.
A tower also, by the way. What is a tower really? What is it? It's a structure.
It's a tall structure from to below. And then it finally goes to an open marketplace. So he says, Ki ashuk hu b'pau nigla. Klal Adavar, Shabbat Loimer Bezek, Ki Koyach HaMalchus Aviz, Mekabel Koyach Parnas Min Ha'elam Elyon. V'meshab Kol Echad Ma'amaylis Yesh Lefanis Kol Oilam. Ki Shesa Yesh B'chama, Kol Echad Min Shesa Hu Kol Oilam. L'kach B'chol Echad Yesh Lefanis Kol Oilam. And when it says that each step has enough to hold the whole world, because it's all coming from the sun. And the sun, 365 is correspond to each day. Each day the sun warms the entire world. So the 365 is just different permutations of it each different day, but each one on its own is enough to be mafarnes the whole world. The same way each day the sun functions the same, in its strength. V'amru hanu laman. So the Gemara says, who is this going to go to? Ki shaloymar b'shum tzad she'adav zeshu kol kach hamayla mi she'en lehamayla kis kamalachas revis. But the Gemara says, who is all this parnasa really for? What do you mean, who is it for? It's for the Romans. Says the Maharal, it doesn't make sense that Hashem would send down such shefa for someone that's so coarse, and that's the Romans. It doesn't make sense. Vim kain lama niver davar. So why would this be? Raki kol davar zeh dainu shefa eliyain zeh yu yarshim lasid laasid oisam asher royim loy. The truth is, Hashem created a system that for right now the Romans are enjoying, but ultimately it will be handed over to those that are deserving of it, and that's Klal Yisroel. Right now it's preparation purely. It's a system that's been created so that when it's ready to be handed over, it'll already be fully developed. Ki avim yesh l'malchus azeh shefa elyon, ein safek shu misyachas hashefa l'olam hagashmi. Aval Yisrael kashu mekabel hashefa zeh l'olam l'osid, lo yeh misyachas l'olam hagashmi klal. But one quick point: do not think that this handoff is going to be, not that it's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be just simply them giving over marketplaces to Klal Yisrael. The shefa will be handed over, but how it will be received will change. Meaning, that shefa right now, by the time it trickles down as chicken and meatballs. You understand? Fruits and vegetables. And it's all a preparation for Klal Yisroel Mashiach comes. But when Klal Yisroel Mashiach comes, it could be that shefa will not come in that form. That shefa will come in Dveikus Hashem. So he says, Be'ein safek hevdel gadol yesh. There will be a major difference between how we receive the shefa to the way the Romans currently receive the shefa. Ki avim yesh l'malchus is a shefa elyon. Ein safek shu misyachas hashefa l'olam hagashmi. It's coming in a physical form. Avi Yisrael kashu mekam hashefa azeh elim l'osid, but when we receive it, l'osid lavoy, lo yeh misyachas elim hagashmi klal. We will not receive it in a physical form. Rak b'olam hazeh hagashmi, hamalchus revis mekam hashefa azeh. Bein zeh shayach Yisrael. That's not how we're going to receive it. Rakim madreges Yisrael shu yorshim koyach hamalchus azeh, kashu yisrael mekam makol. Ulefika kol Indian zesh yesh l'malchus revis ein rak hachana l'Yisrael, shu yorshim l'osid l'olam haba klal. It's interesting, if you look at number 37, he describes of us receiving the shefa, right? Pirish Yisrael Yershu as koyach malchus revius. K'may shabir ben Ner Mitzvah. He writes in Ner Mitzvah shemalchus revius nikra chazir. The Gemara describes and compares Esav to a chazer. So the simple pshat is, Rashi says, because the chazer says, look at my hooves, I'm all kosher, because they have split hooves, but they don't chew their cud. So like Esav likes to tell Yitzchak, look, I'm such a tzaddik. It's all external. They're all into externalities and nothing real. Right? The external split hooves, but the inside, the chewing the cud, they don't have. That's Rashi. But he says, you know what chazir means? Lachzar, to return. That all that shefa will return back to its proper place. Ayada tachzer hamalchus Yisrael. That's what he says. Okay, so he says, Umasha Amar, back to the top. Masha Amar is hamakir pnei chaver. So the Gemara says, who will receive this? Who will receive all the shefa? It'll be for Klal Yisroel, all this manasa, but it'll be for someone who recognizes who sits in the yeshiva. Right. So he says, Masha Amar is hamakir pnei chaver, and then I think the second shot, that was the first mahalach in the Gemara, and ikadam is hamakabel pnei chaver. So he says, "Ulamand Amar zeh makabel chaver b'yeshiva ratzalomer she'ena doicha divrei chaver b'yeshiva." What it means is,
doesn't push off.
Yeah, meaning that I'm not interested in kicking you out. Meaning we could sit together. So he says, she'ena doicha divrei chaver b'yeshiva, that you don't reject your friend's words in yeshiva. Kasha shama davar mimenu hu makabel dvarav, that when you hear his Torah, you accept it, you don't fight it. Meaning that when you learn Torah and you say something and I recognize it's truthful, I accept it. As opposed to just belligerently saying, no, I'm right. So it's referring to someone who's learning. So Rashi says the simple pshat is that it's someone who recognizes his friends in yeshiva. He's saying, no, it means it's someone who recognizes his friends' words. Now, if we're learning together and you tell me a pshat, even though I was arguing with you, I could say, you know what, you're right. Because that's a shleimus HaTorah. Real learning is intellectual honesty. So real learning together is to try to get to the truth, not my truth, the truth. So he says, and therefore, because Torah is the essence of reality, and true Torah is coming down to the truth, therefore the people that are learning Torah be'emes, they should get the shefa ha'olam. It's really reserved for them to sustain reality, for those that are sustaining the real Torah, which the Torah is reality. So he says, because what Malchus Revius is the ability to live in this world comfortably, right? They have all the money and all the food. That shefa is the ability to have yishuv ha'olam. Now again, that shefa for them is coming in the form of money. For us, it'll be coming in the form of dveikis to Hashem, whatever it is. So who is the rightful owner of that? Yishuv ha'olam. Someone who's able to learn Torah in a proper way. So he says, because again, in Olam Haba, this bracha is not going to come in the forms of chicken or burgers. It's going to come in the form of yeshiva and limud HaTorah. And by the way, it says, describing as learning b'yeshiva, like with chavrusas and not learning alone, because again, the point is, it's meant to sustain reality. Sustaining reality is not something that's done alone. It's part of society. So therefore, because the shefa is meant to sustain a society, it'll come down to someone who learns in a society way, which is chavrusa, is part of yeshiva, part of a tzibur. I understand this. Everything that we've said, kulam dvarim barum ma'od. Everything is very clear and very truthful. But they're very deep. That which I could explain, I have. And if you have chachma, you'll be able to add to it.
How he ends. I don't know.
This is all he said last time.